Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Boy That Loved, a Boys Love podcast, hosted by me, Dion. Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about dangerous romance. I just saw the last episode, so of course I had to do everything wrong with dangerous romance. Now, if you're new to the channel, new to the whole thing, basically what I do is I go through a show's characters one by one, give my thoughts and opinions on the characters, and in turn, let you know how I feel about the whole show and the narrative and everything like that as we go along. If you haven't seen it, I did one for not Dangerous Romance. Oh my God, I'm doing that now. I did one for Only Friends just recently, and I've done. If there's a playlist actually on the channel, if you guys want to check out, I've done all other shows under the sun. So if you guys want to check those out, it'll be on my channel. So go check it out. Also, make sure you guys become a patron. Links below to watch some extra content with me. I've started some new Japanese series. I've been watching Kiseki. I'm about to start My Personal Weatherman. So I have a bunch of different shows I'm doing exclusively on Patreon. So if you guys want to help support the channel and watch extra content with me, it'll be all linked below for your convenience. Okay, so for today's video, obviously we're going to be getting into the gig with Dangerous Romance. I just want to say off the bat that I personally did not like this show, as you may have seen in my few reactions and my few videos about Dangerous Romance. But I'll try my best to be not so negative. Keep my criticism to just criticism and not really go off that path, hopefully. So just wish me luck. And bear with me, though. Please bear with me. The first character we're starting with is Otto. Now, he's my favorite character in the show. I thought he was going to be more of a prominent character. I knew he was going to be a supporting character. I knew that. But I felt like he was underutilized because in the first two episodes, he was definitely. They showcased him being a good friend to Saman. And even though he was scared at one point where he was essentially kidnapped, he still stood up for his friend and decided to take the brunt of Kong's wrath for his friend, which, given how scared he is, shows his character a lot. I mean, his character was shown in the beginning too, where he made sure his friend ate food, who only had a little bit of food, and he asked his mom to get Saman some food. I thought that was so great. That was so great of him. That whole trio friend group is my favorite. I love the friend group so much. They seem to be ride or die with each other. It just sucks that Otto wasn't really utilized that much in the show, but beyond that first two episodes, and then he does come into play in the episode where Kong needed to make amends with the friend group, and he was more prominent in that episode, which that's when he really became best boy. He had his time to shine. The actor really slayed that moment, that episode. And him being drunk and dancing and him also sticking up for himself a little bit. It was very entertaining, and I think it was a missed opportunity because I know he's paired off with that other guy, one of the twins characters. I forgot that boy's name. It happened at the end. What's his name? Max. Yeah, he's paired up with Max at the end. They're like besties now, homies, doing YouTube content. Like, that's their whole thing. I think that's nice. I do think that's nice. I just feel like I'm not sure if I should. The show itself, the bullying was overlooked, like kind of like glossed over a little bit, and they're kind of like, oh, we were just kidding back then. No big deal. Even our characters they bullied are kind of like, well, no big deal. Which I'm not saying I'm one of them to drag it out and have a big issue with, but those boys did horrible things to them, and they're just like, okay, whatever. About it seems a bit odd and upsetting to me. I wouldn't mind them all becoming friends like they did, but maybe have those bully characters put more of a work to make amends, or maybe even have scenarios where they're paired off with each of the duos they paired off with to kind of get to know the characters a bit more and get to know their motivations, why they did the things they did, what they want in life, because you can utilize learning about the characters with the characters learning about each other. You know what I mean? They kind of like streamline that at the end with their whole like graduation goals and their things they're doing now. So everything was wrapped up, but it wasn't really utilized throughout the whole show. So like it just one minute they're enemies, next minute they're cool, the next minute they're graduation, now they're besties. there's nothing in between to connect all those together. And unfortunately, Otto really didn't get much development or use, really. But I still like the character. I still like the character. The actor did a good job. It was it. He's my favorite. He's my favorite, the most likable person. Though I didn't love the humor in this show, he was funny to me, and I appreciate him for being so funny to me. Next character we have is Max. He, left no impression on me. He just best friends with Kong, and he had the least amount of time to do anything. I think Otto and Max had the least amount of anything as far as story beats go. But it's nice that they're best friends in the end, and I like their dynamic at the end. It was very nice and pleasant. But given how horrible he's the one who actually set him on fire in the beginning, him with his homies, and that was awful. But like I said before, they glossed over it, and it was no big deal when they actually talked about it. I'm glad, I guess, in a way, they didn't spend too much time on him. Because, I mean, the side characters don't really get a developed storyline or anything with them. It kind of just happens off screen, or it kind of just is like, oh, this is what we're doing now, type of thing. Especially with these two, which is fine. It's fine. He seems relatively nice. I would have liked it if Otto was paired up with Kong. Like, if like, Kong could have worked in the kitchen. That's my whole thing. They could have different storylines where like Kong could have worked in the kitchen with Otto after that whole incident at the club when he got in trouble, and maybe the dad could like, oh, since you guys want to act irresponsible, I'm gonna give you guys some responsibility, and these two could have been Otto and Kong could have been worked in the cafeteria, and Kong could have opened about his mom by spending time with Otto's mom, and that could have made them closer. And Max here, we could have had him paired off with Salman, and maybe he could be like a character that he used to be, and Salman's like he used to be like poor and had to struggle, but he's obviously not anymore. He's wealthy now, and they could have kind of come to like, I'm not saying it's part of his narrative, but that could have been a nice way to do something with his character by having him and Khan become friends. So our two love interests becomes besties with their respective love interest bestie. You know what I mean? That'd be kind of nice to see. That'd be actually really nice to see, honestly. It would give him something to do, actually. But yeah, that's Max. Next, we have Miss Teacher Girl, Napal. Nadal, the student teacher lady. I don't know. I don't know what to feel about her. I know she's paired up with old girl, and that's that on that. And she was there with when they went to the college campus, thingy. I don't know what. I don't think anything would change if she wasn't in the story. I do like her. She's like a nice person, and she has her own little story arc about her, becoming a teacher and whatnot. Her plot line, her personal plot line is underdeveloped, like all the side characters really. So there's nothing to really go off on about her. It seemed like they were shipping her with Pim, which I was kind of like, she's a teacher, that's a student. I'm not getting my life to that, but like, if they're going to do some lesbian thing, I guess work, slay, but also why do you have to do it like this? Why couldn't she be another student? She could have played a student thing. Maybe she could have been the president and Homegirl could be the vice president. That could have been like their whole thing. You know what I mean? She had to be a teacher. But now Homegirl's graduated, and she's an adult. So I guess y'all can go that route if that's the route they're going. It could be besties. They're both going to London, which is kind of cool. And good for them. But yeah, she didn't really have any real impact on any of the narratives. Like, she I don't know. I wish they would utilize her more, make her more important than she was. Or at least have her storyline really be prominent, like her trying to get through being a teacher, maybe some highs and lows of that, and maybe old girl can be really by her side with that. Like a lot of their storylines and their like bonding was kind of surface level, like her like making the uniforms and putting her makeup on her face, and like all those things were like cute, out of context, but like in context, I'm like, we're not doing this. It's just filling in time, honestly. just filler content that really doesn't leave any impact or impression on me personally. But I do like the character. She wasn't utilized in any significant way. Next we have is Name. I think he is. It's very interesting because he's not a main character, but he is one of the characters who got his own little story arc. He wants to get out of the life of gang banging and debt collecting, and we saw that journey. Now, he was only utilized early on as a foil. Like, he came through to make the threat about the whole, he's debt collecting and all that good stuff, so he was kind of like that, but then we didn't see him for a while. Now, he was there for that scene where he got Salman into teen escorting. But beyond that, we haven't seen him since. And then he came back with an injury, and now all of a sudden he wants to go a different route. I think that is very interesting that our brother characters, Saifei and Salman, don't get their own story arc, but they serve other characters. So Saifei served his story arc, and in turn got him into trouble. That's a pattern with these two boys. They are like paired off with these guys who get them into trouble or cause them pain or all these kind of things, but they're kind of like going up and going ham for these two boys. And I'm like, okay, why would you do that? I don't understand that. Um, Now with him, I like I found his story arc one of the most interesting. It was a little underbaked a little bit, but it was interesting to me. Him in the gang life with that boss man and him trying to figure out how to get out, but like, he's doesn't want to kill, and like he has this whole moral dilemma going on with that. I really that stuff is so interesting and compelling. It's very compelling. Um, but it wasn't really fleshed out too much because he himself didn't get him out of that gang life. It was Saifage helping him, and even then, he allowed homeboy to get blamed. I know it was to save his life, and I know that's why he did it. But he just was sitting around while homeboy was getting blamed, going to jail, and he saw his brother actually just going through it, but he just was like, that's crazy. Ooh, that's wild. All along, he had a part in it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. Now, he didn't redeem himself by killing his boss man or shooting his boss man to save Salman, which is great. I think that's nice. And he ended up going to jail for it. So his whole like getting out of the gang life and doing a better life for himself didn't happen. He's now in jail. So his storyline just got more depressing. Like, you would think he would get out of that gang life and be a hero and do better and like, you know, I guess he did. I guess he got the redemption or something. Cause he didn't kill no one, so we just know he's in that gang stuff and like the debt collector thing. So like, since we don't get much backstory on all that and how that all works, when he wants to get out of it, it was kind of like out of nowhere. Like, you're not even the main character now. All of a sudden, we're following your narrative, which like I said, it's still interesting. I like that plot thread. It's just it was brought up abruptly. Like, if they would have set up differently, like if we would have seen Sci-Fi see him, the things he told Sci-Fi, because this show has a problem with telling and not showing. If they would have showed him, like Sci-Fi seeing the things he said, like, oh, that guy, I didn't shoot him, and all these things like that. If we would have saw that, we would have been really in the mix of it. Like, oh, that's that same guy who was a debt collector. What's going on with this? And we've seen it. And we see his character. We can see the struggle he's having to not, kill and all this stuff. And then, Sci-Fi patches him up because he's in a medical profession. That's why he went to his house in the first place. And then we go how we went, right? It would have been great to kind of see that and really feel the feel. Because once you start telling instead of showing, it's hard to connect with it. I'm not saying some things can be said. Some things are better left said than shown, but this show doesn't want to show stuff. It just tells you things offhand, and like, you get the story being told to you just by verbal, and rather than like, so it makes it hard to really connect. And that's what happened with him. I'm like, it sucks because I really want to know your story because it's so interesting, but like, you in jail now, and that I could care less. you know, uh, you know what I mean? I don't know. Next character we have is Sci-Fi. What's his deal? Because him and his brother are in debt, and people come over here, pushing up on them, about to burn old boy's face off, and he is so goofy and jovial all the time, spending all this money on like expensive food, it seems, and you know, the debt cutters come over his house, and he's just like, guys, give me a couple days. Like he's so unserious. I don't understand that. And his brother's the same way. Like someone is similar to him. They just things happen. They're just like no big deal. Like oh well, tee hee hee. I'm like, this stuff seems dangerous. It does, and y'all are not taking it seriously. It seems. I don't know. Now with him, I thought it was interesting because early on, not early on, like I guess kind of like late in the show when he became the nurse nanny to Kong's grandmother, everyone was like giving him side eye because like, oh, he bribes his clients to get him stuff. So he's a bad guy, or why is he going to jail? Because we saw in the trailer he's going to jail. He must have did something. Sure, I think that tidbit and plus the trailer, I guess you can see or kind of question him a little bit, but he's never been, in my opinion, shown to be some type of bad guy in any way, shape, or form. Yes, he's kind of like trying to get up on people by, but he doesn't take from them. He doesn't steal from them. You know what I mean? He just nice to them and they give him things and he's getting along to get along. Him and his brother are struggling and he's just trying to get by. You know what I mean? It may not be the most ethical thing, but I don't think it's terrible. If they're older and they want to give, he takes care of them. He's so nice, and they want to give him things. Put him in the will. Go off. He gave them happiness. He gave them joy. He's very nice and jovial. So like I can see why even the grandma was like swooned by him. Like she was really going to bat for him because how he is, and it makes sense to me. And I'm like, well, I think hearing everyone be so cynical towards a lot of these characters, and we'll get to other ones soon, is a bit odd to me. I'm like, you guys want you casting doubt and negativity on everyone when it's not even warranted. It's just interesting. Now with him, again, he doesn't get his own storyline. He serves the old what's his name name's storyline, which sucks because what's going on with him and his brother? What happened to their parents? Why they're in debt? How much debt do they have? What are they doing to get out of it? Like there's these characters don't have a story arc of their own. The plot just happens to them. He just takes opportunity to do things based on what's going on, and Salman doesn't things just happen to work out for him. He just takes opportunity. Like when he found out his brother moved in, and his brother's friend is rich, his grandma's rich, so he weaseled himself through to get to be her caretaker. The plot happened, and he took advantage of it. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he's bad because of that, and I think it makes sense to do what you gotta do to survive. You know what I mean? Like you have to do what you do to survive, especially when you gotta take care of someone else. Um, but he went to jail, falsely accused of shooting Kong's father. He took the blame, and we found out why because that boss man said, "If you don't take the blame for this, we will kill your brother." And he's like, obviously he can't. He wants his brother to survive, but this may be the wrong thought process. But he could have told Saifa, not Saifa. Oh my God, he could have told Salman what the tea was. Like he really let that boy suffer, especially after he found out he dropped out of school. I would be like, okay, you know what? I guess this is a tea. I'm taking the blame. There's nothing we can do about it, but here's the information. Don't leave school. He's not. I didn't do it actually. Like let him know. Like it sucks that one he had to do this, and I think it's fine. Like him not telling his brother, him not telling anyone. We know his motivations of doing that, but in the narrative, we found out what happened off screen. Like, Max's dad figured it out because the homeboy confessed, and we saw what actually happened. I don't know why that information was kept from us, or why we couldn't have someone like try to investigate and try to figure out what the real tea was and kind of get the information and kind of be more active in trying to resolve this, because he didn't believe his brother did it. He stated already he been knew his brother didn't do it, but he also didn't do much to try to solve that problem. And we'll get to him in a minute, Saman. But the fact that he didn't want to get help from his friends and try to solve this mystery, it was so dumb to me. It was so dumb to me. And to have him just not tell him, and like, I don't know. He's also an underdeveloped character. They're all underdeveloped. Like he went to jail for that. Him, because it's not like it's not like him going to jail served him, because he's falsely accused and he has done nothing to deserve to go to jail except help that boy. Him helping that one boy name caused this events to happen for him to go to jail. So it's his fault. I guess it's his karma. Like, oh, this is what happens when you help someone who is, I guess, a bad guy, or who's done you dirty, or whatever the case may be. This is what happens, I guess. I'm not sure that's the message they're trying to send, but that's how it comes off. Because you being nice to him caused all this. But I guess it's supposed to show that he is a good guy to Kong's father, who suspected him for being a bad guy based on his past, or based on his the information of him bribing and getting things from his clients. I don't know what the story is. What are we supposed to take away from him in this narrative? It doesn't make any sense to me. It still doesn't. I don't know. But I like his dynamic with his brother. That's the one thing I really like about this character. Both of them, actually. Their dynamic as brothers is so precious, so nice. You know, at the end, he was like, "You guys are dating?" I was the only person that didn't know. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, you didn't know." Teehee. And then we got out of jail, and Salman gave him a big old hug, and he was climbing on top of him. That was precious. That was definitely precious. You know. See, my heart isn't so cold. I can be warmed. I can be swooned a little bit, just a little bit. But yeah, that's Saife. Next we have is Pim, best girly. One thing I like about her is that when she says she likes Salman, she was able to explain why. And the things she said is the things we saw with him, and it makes sense. Like, I'm not sure why Kong likes Salman. It could be the same reasons, potentially, and I'll give him that. Maybe that's the same reason, because I still don't know why they like each other, honestly speaking. But you know, Miss Mamas did that when she, in the beginning, when Kong was trying to get Salman suspended or expelled from the school, she came through with the save, told her grandma what was up, and which I was like, oh my gosh, work, Miss Mother. She better get it, helping that boy out. Not allowing her bestie from the restie to do this to him. And I love that. However, she is very underutilized as well. She Because the thing is, like I said, I like the fact that she could tell she kept Kong accountable for the most part, and she expressed why she likes Salman, but the show didn't show her hanging out with him as much, and there was a missed opportunity when she hired him to be her tutor, but right after she did that, he became Kong's tutor again, so that was no point to that, and that would have been a perfect time for her to bond with Salman. Maybe we get to learn about him through their bond. It sucks because if you pair these boys off with other people, it'd been a great opportunity to learn about them and their past, their lives through the relationships they're building. Like I said, we could have Kong and Otto bond, and then we could learn about his mother, his past, because, and then we get to learn about Salman through her, where she could get to know him more, and why he does the things he does, and how he perseveres. Which the things she likes about him, she could have got to know him more, and it really was sold the fact that she likes him more after, he's tutoring her and he's being responsible, and she sees all these good qualities he has. 'Cause he has got some good qualities, and she's really honing in on that. The qualities she's seeing him, she doesn't see in Kong, which is why she likes him versus Kong, which would have been great to see. Now, she does have her own little, I guess, relationship development with the teacher lady, but that's also underdeveloped. And if it is like a romance thing, it's she's like, "Oh, you did a good job with her uniforms. Let me give you a hug." Like I feel like a lot of her scenes were very much filler, and then even that one scene where she is talking to Kong or someone about Kong, and like she's verbalizing, telling us about Kong's character development. Like she sat there and said, "Oh, he's this now. He's doing this now." I'm like, "Oh, that would be great to see. You have all these great things to say about Kong that we haven't seen." Even Salman was like, oh, "He's shook too. Like he ain't seen none of this. You talking about?" And he lives with him. That was a gag. I was like, why is she the one telling him about Kong's growth when he lives with him? And we didn't see her and him hang out, her and Kong hang out like they used to early in the show. So where did she get his information from? And I guess I mean I know it's supposed to tell us that he's grown rather than show that he's grown. That's the only function of that scene and her in that narrative. But I was like, this is odd. But good thing she graduated, and I feel like she should have gave a speech and not Khan, because ain't she the class president? And she like top student? Why is he giving a speech? Anyways, I know his dad like owns the school, I guess, or whatever the case may be, but she should have been used for that. But I like her character. I like that she's a good friend to everyone, and she's going to London with her teacher lover person, so that's a serve. So good for her. Next we have is Nawa, I think his name is. Kong's homie. Listen, this actor plays these like antagonistic best friend roles all the goddamn time, and I'm like, he was the main lead, and you're gearing my gown, and like, not saying I want him to be paired up with old boy in another series again like they did before. So but it would be great to have him as a lead in something else. You know what I mean? But anyways, essentially the same characters as his other antagonistic characters. I don't know. He was an asshole in the beginning, like Kong and Old Boy, and he's like the only one who remained an asshole. He was what's the other boy's name? He's paired up with Guy. Him and Guy fighting all the time. That got on my nerves because they kept showing them like about to fight and having like this tension, which sure, set up your enemies to lovers storyline with these two. I don't mind that. It's just it was the same thing each time. And then after they became friends, they still were like rivals in a way. And I'm like, why do they keep doing this? They keep having these scenes with them too, just kind of butting heads and being like antagonistic. But like, why can't we use that time to get to know each of these characters? Like at the end of the series, they were talking about their desire for the sports team, like the basketball and soccer and doing all those things and everything. Why not have that more prominence to their characters? Yes, you might say like they were playing those games or soccer and whatnot in the beginning. They were on the team, they were there. Yes, but they didn't have a narrative surrounding that. It wasn't until old boy got his leg hurt that they started going that route. You know what I mean? And then at that time we were already like episode 10, 11. So I'm like, all this whole time we could have had him really. Maybe there's a reason why he acted the way he acted with Kong and Old Boy. Like I guess all three of those boys, it would be nice to have a reason for them to be so horrible, and then having to work for redemption a little bit more with the other friends. Um, and that would have been nice, but that didn't happen. Then all of a sudden, he became like this good guy towards Guy when the homeboy hurt his leg, and he was trying to like I guess be a good friend and really get him to get back on his grind because they showed these flashbacks of him seeing him practice and like I don't know the use of those flashbacks and how they utilize that. It's supposed to tell a bigger narrative, an emotional story that wasn't earned. His bonding with him wasn't earned that much. I think if they would have did this storyline earlier on and had it developed to the point where it is now, I would have loved it a lot more. Especially if that would give us more time to get to know each of the boys. It would have been a perfect opportunity to get to know each of them through having them deal with this a bit longer. Yes, they've been fighting, but now he's like, because all three of the bullies don't seem like bad guys. If you just pull back if you take away the little bullies that they did, they don't seem like bad guys. They seem relatively nice, honestly. Um, And it would have been great to see to have because he was like crying and like hitting him and like it was I guess out of context I was really like feeling I was like okay great but like in context it comes out of nowhere and I'm really not feeling it because these characters are underdeveloped. Like I keep saying this whole video they're underdeveloped. They're not fleshed out enough to make for me to feel what the show wants me to feel. You know what I mean? But him and old boy get together in the end. Now the kissing scene, I was kind of gagged because first of all, when they were like shipping these two together and they just stood there next to each other, I'm like, oh, I was under the impression you guys would like separate or like be like butting heads or like, even though they kind of denied them being together to the friend group, they still stood there. I'm like, okay, work, I guess. And then the scene after that, they end up kissing and end up becoming boo things. I was like, now it seemed obvious that might be the route they were going, but like I said, it was all underdeveloped. So I was kind of like, that's y'all making out at graduation. Go off, I guess. Next character is Guy. Okay, so this character, the same thing I said to old boy applies to him. However, comma, I really like Guy. The friend group, Salman, Guy, and Otto, I love, and he was really going up in hand for his besties from the jump. He was ready to fight. Otto had to calm him down, like, listen, don't get in trouble. We're in school. We have our whole lives ahead of us. These boys ain't worth it. And I love that Otto for that, but I love that Guy was ready to fight to the point where they had to lock him up. Those three bullies had to handle him before they played with Otto and Salman that one time in the underground bunker, wherever they were at, that gym. I forgot where they were at. They were like a gym somewhere, and it had people recording, very, very Boys Over Flowers vibes. They had to lock him up because they knew he was a problem. He was a problem. I was like, oh, I love this character. I love the trio of friends. They really are besties with each other. They're really helping out each other, and they tease each other too. It's so fun. I love the whole trio. But he out here really just. Salman was sick. He went over to feed him and everything. He is the bestie character that we all need. And I wish, like I said before, we had his storyline develop with because when he got his leg hurt and he was like all sad and he had to quit soccer and his whole world's coming crashing down. They spent no time developing that early on. So when it happened, I was just like, and I know his story beat, that whole thing about him potentially not being able to be a soccer player no more, is a relatable trope in all kinds of shows and even in life. You know the athlete who has a goal in mind to be an athlete, but then they get hurt. It would have been nice to have him express that, do all that. And I know they gave us flashbacks. Like his whole storyline was shoehorned in or not shoehorned, expedited. It was is that the word expedited? Rushed. I'll use the word rushed. I can't pronounce that word. You know what I mean? Like it was rushed. It was here's the whole thing all at once. I'm like, damn, we're getting all this. Like being flashbacks to his goals about being a soccer player and all these things. Now he can't like he had all these desires, and now we're finally getting it. Girl, I guess. Ugh. And then he ended up with old boy at the end. I was like, sure, underdeveloped, but I do like this character. Like I like him a lot. Like he is one of the best boys. Him and Otto, best boys, best boys. Next we have is Salman, one of our main leads. Okay. In the beginning, I was really liking this character. He was very passive, it seems. Like things were happening to him, but he was really responding to everything. When Kong was being antagonistic, he was not with it. When he was bullying his friends, he was trying to get them out of the situation. I was gooping gagged when that teacher made him delete the footage of Kong and his friends beating up Otto. I was gagged. He was shook. But I like the fact that he was not afraid to stand up to them and really stand up for himself. I really love that. His character in the first two episodes was my favorite. I was like, oh, yes, things are happening to him and it sucks, but he's not letting it get him down and he's actively responding to what's going on. Someone was not the one to be played with. When Homeboy tried to get him fired at his job at the thing at the auto shop, he was 2 steps ahead of him. And I was like, yes, work. Even though I don't care for that scene could have been cut, honestly speaking. You saw my reaction, but still, it just shows his character. It shows Salman's resilience and how he really is not play no games. I mean, when old girl explained why she liked him, we saw that. I was like, okay, he is that guy. However, it all went downhill. He was too much of a reactive character to the point where he had no storyline of his own. No, he moved nothing forward. Things just happened to him, and he just let it happen to him. The character he was in the first two episodes went away. First of all, he was our main lead, and now it was taken over by Kong. Kong became the main lead. It wasn't him anymore. And I will say here, the show did this thing where like nothing mattered or things that did happen resolved itself. Number one, Kong being his bully and doing terrible things, even to the point where he got him fired and got him on the sex offender list by saying that he's a pedophile to the parents of all the kids that he tutored, was insane. And he just took it like, oh well, yes, he got attacked by the debt collector. They would have burned his face off, and Kong saved him. And Kong was feeling guilty, and he was like, "Oh, it's no big deal. It's fine," which was dumb to me because number one, what he did was horrible to you. Now you're in this situation with no money to the point where you can't pay your debt. That's crazy enough. But when Kong tried to give you that goddamn money, you said no. So you're letting your pride get in the goddamn way after you almost got your face burnt off. It just happened, and you're saying no. And I understand. Maybe you're like, oh, I want to earn my money. You weren't saying like, oh no, let me still tutor you. I mean, he eventually did say that, but like in that initial conversation, he was just like, no, I'm not taking your money. Like, and I get it. That one scene where he was trying to bribe him into giving him test scores or to have him cheat, he was like, no. I can also get that too, but even then, I would like, you forget it. Here's the money. Here's the test. Give me that money. I'm sick of being a dad. Like his situation is so dire to the point he's getting physically harmed that that pride should have went out the window. I'm so sorry. I know it does say a lot about his character that he isn't trying to, you know, just take without working for it. I understand it, and I think that's noble. It is noble. I just think, given the severity of the situation, some things have to be left on the back burner. Have your pride and your high morals come into play once you're in a better situation. Because that was awful. The way they beat you up and burned, like, it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It was just wild. And then, you know, the whole thing about him being a tutor with Kong after him doing all those things was wild. I'm like, oh, this guy bullied you and did all these things. Now you have to teach him, but you need that money, so go off. So I'm glad you're doing it. But at the same time, you're not gonna call him out for all the stuff he's done to you and like kind of whatever, like it was odd. And then the storyline had him like get fired because Kong wasn't applying himself really. He wasn't really studying, and his grades were bad. And the grandma said, if you can't pass, we have to get you another tutor because he's not working. He gets fired. Now he can't work anywhere else as a tutor because, like I said, homeboy put him on that sex offender list. So he has to become a teen escort. His other job at the auto shop let him go because they didn't need him. This is seasonal, I guess. So he had become a teen escort. And I'm like, okay, my goodness, that's a lot. Just for him to be hired again as Kong's tutor right after that, like at the end of the episode, I was like, so we did all that for what? We went through all this for him to just to be his tutor again at the end. And then another thing, we went through this whole scenario where he likes Kong and Kong likes old girl just for him to get Kong in the end anyways. Kong out of nowhere likes him now. So we did all that for him breaking that girl's heart and having and I'm not saying that can't happen, but he got his heart broken first and he was complacent with like, oh well, Kong likes her and not me. Let me help him out. Kong fighting him or being mad at him because, she likes him and Kong's mad at him for it or whatever the case may be, and mad at him that he won't date him or date her. And he finds out that he likes him. And I'm like, we did all that for Kong to return your feelings. Which I still don't know why he likes you, and vice versa, honestly speaking. I don't know why you like Kong. I don't know, guys. I still don't know. I know the show was like, oh, he gave him an umbrella when they were kids, so he been liked him all along, even before the bullying thing. which y'all know I hate that. I loved you all along, bullcrap. But this is on the opposite end. But I still don't like it. So I'm like, I guess that's why you like him because he gave you an umbrella that one time. But also, it, him being awful to you doesn't matter no more, or doesn't matter at all. I guess, whatever. And then again, he, like his brother, only was there to serve Kong's narrative. As we saw in the show, he even was the middleman between Kong and his dad several times. The dad talked to his son through Salman and vice versa. Isn't that insane? He was literally utilized for his narrative. That's all he did. That's all he was there for. It was for Kong's sake. It sucks. Oh, and don't get me started. When his brother went to jail and Kong kicked him out and all these things, he had to become a escort again, whatever the case may be. One, his friends trying to help him and he's denying the help pissed me off. Cause a goddamn again, you need the help and you're saying no. Your brother's in jail. You got all this debt now. You can't. You lost your tutoring job. You got your other job at the auto shop back, which is great, but it's still not enough money. You had to go be an escort again, which you had to be saved once again by Kong. Everything you happens to you get out of the situation because Kong helps you. You serve his purpose, and everything that happens in every situation you get yourself into, or not even get yourself into, every situation that happens to you, he saves you every time. Also, why'd you quit school? That didn't make any sense. That's another thing they did. Like another thing. I'm like, you guys have this scenario where he quit school for it not to matter because everything that happened resolved itself the next day. He breaks up with Kong, but Kong comes back. He himself didn't try to solve the case with his brother. It resolved itself off camera. The show has a problem with doing stuff and it not matter in the end, and that's why I really don't like this show because I'm like, damn, we wasted time doing all this for nothing to happen. For what? Now he is a likable guy. I like his friendship group, and I think it's nice that he bonded with Kong's dad and his grandma and like that whole scenario. But we still know nothing. We know nothing about this boy. What are his goals and desires? What is his motivation? What does he want to do with himself? In that episode when he went to the college, it seemed like they were going to like actually touch on that. Salman is going to actually have his own like narrative and really going forward, but that never came to fruition. He still was just supporting Kong's story till the end, till the very end, which sucks. Which sucks. This is such a this show is a big missed opportunity. Now I know what the things I want for the show, things I'm talking about. It didn't need to be the way I would want it to be because it's a boys' love series and people are gonna like it just because these two actors are together, these two characters are together, so it doesn't matter. Actual character development, storylines, all those things don't really matter in the end. That's why they don't do it. They rather have 15 scenes of the boys flirting with each other, close proximity to each other, have emotional crying scenes together. As long as they're together a lot, as long as they're like tropes and cliches of someone coming back to save you, damsel in distress, the fans will eat it up, and they ate this up, for sure. So they don't need to do anything else. But you could. I think the fans will still like it regardless. I don't understand why they do these tropes and cliches so much, so often in the same way and not try to tell a nice. Because the shows are the tropes themselves. Like, oh, someone always likes someone, put that in there. Oh, someone, they have a fight, but they end up changing their mind and coming back. Let's put that in there. Someone is the bridge between this character and other characters. Put that in there. Ooh, romance. I mean, in this show, they did the romance really dirty because all they did was touch hands and the person started singing. They're riding a bike to each other. The person started singing. It's just certain things they did without, it didn't make any sense. Like, what happened to his parents? Like, why? I just, what happened? How much debt? There's so many questions, so many things left unanswered. And him not having his own story, him being such a reactive character, just irks my nerves. Okay, last but not least is Kong. Kong got the most storyline and the most screen time and the most whatever the case may be, and he's probably one of the more unlikable characters in the show, in my opinion. Like I said, he was very awful in the beginning, but it didn't matter because he didn't get in trouble. Like the bullying stuff, he didn't get in trouble for. Like when he tried to get that boy expelled, his grandma like didn't let him get away with it, but he didn't get in trouble after that. I mean, he went to Salman's house with a gun. Yes, it helped him in the end, Salman in the end, but he still went there with a gun. And then the writers did him dirty with his storyline. Like he is against his own father. His father doesn't expect nothing from him. His father lets him do what he wants. His father buys him whatever he wants, and doesn't chastise him. Doesn't do all those things. And he hates that. He hates that his dad doesn't have any expectations on him. Boo fucking who? Your man is over here getting jumped by debt collectors, and you tell my son my daddy bought me a bike when I didn't earn it. He's horrible. And what makes me even more irritated is that the fandom. I went to the lives. We do like a live show after Only Friends and Interest Romance, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Kong's father is the worst. Because how you don't listen to your son? You're a bad parent." And then I'm like, "Bad parent? This little asshole here. He's mad at his dad for bribing the coach to get him on the football team. It looks like his dad's parenting was a little bit misguided, but his dad's doing what he thinks he needs to do for his son. That's what I saw. Yes, he could listen to him. He really wasn't listening to him, but Kong was not even actually talking to his dad. The things he was expressing toward to everyone but his father was done towards everyone but his father. Like his grandma knows his tea, Salman knows his tea, but his dad doesn't. So how are we supposed to know? How is dad supposed to know? Like, Dad, please let me prove myself to you. Let me do this. I'm going to do this. Actually, forget it. Don't let me do that. I'm going to do it on my own. Which he kind of was going that route a little bit. Like he's going to do it on his own regardless. Because it seemed like his dad wasn't really listening to him. Which, okay, work. But then he'll be lazy playing video games. Like that one scene, it didn't make sense to me. Because the dad came in and saw him playing games. He was like, why aren't you studying? Why aren't you getting your stuff done? And he started shaking and getting scared. And like I was like, wait a minute, this is what you wanted from your dad, and he's doing it, but now you're back and you're kind of wincing and kind of being scared. And the dad's like, oh, let me stop, and like, oh, it's fine. We see why your dad coddles you so much because you be acting scary, and we found out later on he used to be so strict on him. That's probably why he acts the way he acts. But you seem to not. It seemed like you didn't like that your dad did that back in the day to the point where you're like scared of him. But now he's doing the opposite. Now you're mad at him for not doing what he used to do. It's not making any sense. So you getting mad at your dad for like paying off the coach, but then you go off and start spending all your dad's money. You selling off the bike he got you. You're being a little asshole. It's hard to like get behind you on that. And then you have a change of heart, which Kong's character is known for that. He will have character development, change of heart, a different way of thinking, all internally. He'll take a whole 25 minutes and be like, you know what? I changed my mind. You know what? I hate Salman. Now I'm cool with him. You know what? I like old girl, but now, you know what? I like Salman now. You know what? I think my dad is awful. You know what? Maybe he's not. You know what? I'm gonna sell this bike because F my dad and whatever. You know what? Maybe I'm wild. I was doing too much. He bought me this bike and now I'm over here selling it. I ain't even earn it yet, like how I wanted to earn it, and I sold it. You know what? Let me go back and it wasn't someone talking to him and him having like someone hold him accountable. I guess he hold himself accountable. I guess, but in turn he gets himself in his own situations, like him getting beat up by those like people at the pool place because he was cheating and stuff. So you got you and your man in trouble, and I'm supposed to root for you, supposed to feel bad for you, and how everyone came to his like the fandom came to his side with the whole dad situation. I'm like, the dad is not. Salman's being a little asshole. He's always been. He's always a little asshole, and like I can't be behind him when he. I know, like they were saying, like, oh, he's studying, he's doing all these things. We see in the montage. We always seen the montage, but he's still failing. We're seeing the montages, but he still is not applying himself. And also, the show did him dirty too by not having us see his progress. Yes, I know old girl told us that he develops himself and he's doing better, and she told us that, but the show didn't show us that. And then he kicks Salman out after he found out his dad's brother, Salman's brother shot his dad. Sorry. Oh, excuse me, y'all. And I was like, it would have been great for his character for him to still stay by Salman's side, and they kind of both team up to figure out what actually happened, because and it seemed like that was the route, because he was like on his side. He was like, "Oh, I don't believe your brother did that. Like, if you say your brother didn't do it, I'm with you on that. I believe you. Let's figure this out." But as soon as they said, "Oh, he shot his dad," he was like, "Okay, get out my house." Why not have him be like, "I don't believe that. There has to be something else to it. Because why would your brother shoot my dad? Why would that doesn't make any sense? Like he takes care of my grandmother. She vouches for him. Why would he? Let's figure this out." I'm angry because I hope it's not the truth, but I'm a ride with you. I love you, and we're gonna figure this out together. That would have been great for his character, but he just get out my house just for him to come back and bring him in. And what I feel that he should have did in the first place, he ends up doing it anyways. So why do we have this whole thing where he like breaks out with him, kicks him out, and then talks down about poor people just for him to go save someone in the end? Yes, I know he like loves him, so like of course he's gonna save him, but like you getting mad at him being a teen escort. Well, hey, bestie, if he could have a job as a tutor again, it would have been great, but he can't because of you. Ugh, so annoying. And also, what about his mom? What the storyline with his mom, and like what she meant to him, and why he feels like that his whole like backstory is shrouded in a mystery, and it pisses me off because you would think that would give us more context to why he was so awful in the beginning, or why he's so angry and popping off all the time every so often. Now, I don't think he's a bad guy. We've seen him be very jovial, and like I said, he does feel guilty about some of the things he does and things that happen. It just seems like if he was going to figure it out on his own internally after 25 minutes has passed, what was the point of doing all that? You know? And he finally got to communicate with his dad in the end, which I think is nice. I'm glad they had that talk and everything. Um, I just wish it would have been set up better than that, because even before the dad got shot, he still communicated through his father through someone. I'm like, if you had a change of heart with your dad, why not have them talk? I mean, his dad still could have got shot, whatever. That whole scenario could have happened, but us having to wait all the way till the end when his dad could have died. I'm like, for why? He's already gotten over it. Let him get the resolution. And then he did the speech at the graduation, and now he got to the college he wanted. It all worked out for him. No real consequences severely to his actions, except that when he got beat up from cheating, that's about it. But that also got someone in danger again. I mean, he's the reason someone has to become an escort. Like, it just, and I like the episode where he was trying to make amends with the friends. That's probably my favorite Kong narrative. That episode was great. How he like seemed like he bonded with Otto a little bit. Like I wish they would have been a cool bestie duo in the show. Um, but yeah, that's Kong. I think Perth did a good job with the acting with his character, but I don't like the character. He's very unlikable. Now there are some nice things that happen with this character that I do like that happen in the narrative, but overall it's a no for me. And yeah. All right, guys, we are at the end. Okay, so I would give this show 2 out of 5 stars. I think the cinematography is great. I think the actors did a great job. Very compelling with the emotional scenes. I just think the storyline and the directing is the weakest point of the show. I did not enjoy most of the series. First 2 episodes I was really rocking with. The episode of the friends coming to terms or becoming cool with him I liked, and some of the things that happened in this last episode I was kind of with, but mostly because the optics of it. Like, I like, Salman reunited with his brother. It was really nice, and him talking to Kong talking to his dad finally was nice, and the grandmother giving, someone a necklace thinking because these like sweet moments were very sweet, but overall, out of in context, abysmal storytelling, abysmal character development, lack thereof. So it's a 2 out of 5 for me. Um, I will say I may be weary on watching more shows from this director or directors because there's two directors. I don't think I want to anymore. I may give them another chance because they done the first Our Sky, so I'm kind of like, well, I like that. So, but then again, Our Sky is a shorter storyline for each pair. You know what I mean? Like this is a whole long show with a bunch of time wasted in it, a bunch of stuff that didn't make any sense, and I also think my dislike of the show comes from the fandom. Like I was told that this show was so good because I was late to watching it and I binged up to episode 6 and I was like, how is this so good? The romance isn't romancing. The characters, most of them are unlikable and have not redeemed themselves in my opinion. Yes, I know Khan became nicer, which is nice. I like him being nice to Salman for the most part, but a lot of their scenes were filler. A lot of the scenes didn't add much to nothing. Like I said, some of the conflict just resolved itself as soon as it came up. So I was like, the status quo didn't change at all. We're still back. We're back to where we started, just a little difference. Like he was his tutor, but now he's his tutor that lives with him. He's already going to school with him. How much more time do they need together? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, you know, his dad slapped him because he went off on him, and so he decided to steal his dad's money and sell the bike. But now, well, you know what? I was wild. My dad had a point, or maybe someone he learned about why his dad wants to do things. Now all of a sudden, well, my dad wasn't so bad. Okay, I'm like, girl. So we went through all that for what? Your character development was so sudden. It seemed like it shouldn't have happened in the first place. That whole story action shouldn't have happened because you resolved the issue you had with him without even talking to your dad. You didn't even talk to your daddy, and you already resolved the issue you had with him. And that's crazy. You would think at least Salman would be the reason why he changed his mind about his dad. It wasn't until after he already had an epiphany that Salman was like, "Well, maybe your dad has his reasons. Maybe this is going on with it." Which I'm like, why did someone say this before? He went on with him spending his daddy's money, which was crazy because Salman was like on for the ride, getting the hotel room, eating the food, spending the money on clothes. But when old boy said, "Let me pay for your debts," he was like, "No, I'm good." So you're willing to indulge in the money for leisure, for fun, but the debt that's getting you beat up, you don't want him to take care of for what? What's the difference? That's one thing Kong ate up. He was like, "Why? Let me pay for your debts." Goddamn. No. Mm-mm. Oh, but you sleep in that expensive hotel room with him. You got all these new clothes now. You eating all this expensive food. Someone, it doesn't make any sense. None of this crap makes sense. But I digress. That was Dangerous Romance. Like I said, 2 out of 5 stars for me. Let me know your thoughts below on this show. I'm sure you guys have different opinions on what I have, but I'm very curious to know what you guys think. And yeah, I will see y'all in the next video.